welcome to Aging Fearlessly, my YouTube channel, where I encourage you to create your best life. And I hope that the ideas expressed in the program are helpful to you. Now today I want to expand on the idea that I brought up in a previous program about how when you see yourself in another person who's suffering, you create the opportunity to minister to them and yourself by expressing your love, kindness, compassion, and charity towards that person. Now, I particularly want to bring this concept up when it comes to nurturing and expanding the love and commitment in your romantic relationship. Now, for the sake of transparency, I must confess that I've been a part of 2 failed marriages that ended up in divorce. So you may want to keep that in mind as you listen to my advice about romantic relationships here. But I'm a firm believer that the lessons we learn from our failures often become the very foundation of a more successful way of being. Now, I believe that my marriage failures have helped me create a more successful relationship with my partner, Desiree. Now, you may think you already know the answer to this. Have more sex, more intimacy, more kissing each other, more romance, spending more time together, date nights, more variety in everyday life, reduce anger, argue more constructively. And you know what, I've heard them all, and these are good things to do. And there are many, many more. I tried them all in my previous marriages, but clearly nothing worked, as both relationships ended up very unhappily and unsatisfying for all parties. Maybe endurance isn't the measure here, but what we learn. Yet this time, I'm doing things very differently. One thing especially, rather than find things to complain and criticize about Desi, I make it a point to recognize her goodness as an individual and express my gratitude for her. I've never experienced a sense of gratitude for who I am from any one of my previous partners, nor did I ever do that for them either. There were a lot of thank yous and I love yous, but they became perfunctory over time. Yet, there's so many things about Desi that I find so refreshingly unusual that I'm often moved in awe of her. Now, before some of you go off thinking that I'm just on the throes of a new romance, think again. Desi and I have been living together for almost 5 years. That's more than long enough to get beyond the bliss bubble. All of our beauty and blemishes have been long exposed. Yet I find the ability to recognize and then express my gratitude for my loved one to be the most rewarding action I've ever taken in a love relationship. Now here's some examples. I've spoken previously about Desi's love for her aging parents who are growing more and more feeble. I'm amazed by her ability to show them love, kindness, and charity even when they become incredibly stubborn or confused. I don't believe I've ever witnessed a more unconditional love from a daughter towards her parents than I've seen from Desiree. Putting myself in her place, I think what I would want to hear from my partner more than anything is an expression of how grateful she is for me. So I do this for Desi, and I remind her how what she does for her parents heals the wound I feel towards the way I related towards mine. Surprisingly, I receive a great gift in return for expressing my gratitude for Desi fills my life with a sense of joy. Similarly, when I see Desi show her warm kindness for a suffering neighbor or friend, I tell her how grateful I am for her and her willingness to bring comfort to others. Once again, I feel blessed and joyful from within when I do this for Desi, although I'm doing it for myself. Now, Desi's an immigration attorney, a very difficult job, a very complex and confusing system. Desi knocks herself out helping desperate and frightened people find a way through this system to recreate new and better lives in the USA. Often she comes to bed late, tired and frustrated from a confusing and stressful day. The best I would want for myself in that situation is just for one person to recognize my effort and tell me how grateful they are for me. And this is what I do for her, and it fills my heart to see the effect that my words of gratitude have on her. There's so many incidents of this type, but they're too numerous to mention. And I know nothing in life is permanent, and that there are no guarantees that a relationship will not come to an end, especially between Desi and I, but this one feels very different to me. At the center of our love for one another is the gratitude gratitude we feel for being a part of each other's life. I never had experienced that before. Either expressing or receiving from another our joint feeling of gratitude for the past that formed each one of us, for the present way in which we carry ourselves, and for our effort to become our higher selves in the future. This helps me believe that I'm creating my best life. Try expressing your gratitude for the person you love. I think you'll be overjoyed with the results. I can say that for me, it's as though I am expressing gratitude for myself, and I'm filled with a sense of fulfillment and being comfortable with who I am. Thanks for listening.